Good morning. Today is Monday, May 8th, 2023. So this coming Shabbos, we have the double Torah portion of BeChukosai. With this Torah portion, we complete the book of Vayikra, the third book of the Torah. The second of the two portions, BeChukosai, is quite harsh, and it's quite difficult to hear and to learn. It begins, in BeChukosai telechu, if you follow my practices, ves mitzvosai tishmaru, and you guard my commandments, vasisimosam, and you observe them, v'nasati gishmechem be'item, God says, I'll give you rain in the right season, v'shavten levetach ba'artzachem, you will dwell securely in your land, v'nasati shalom ba'aretz, and I will place peace in the land. V'im lo sishmuli, but God says, if you do not listen to me, v'lo sasu es kol ha-mitzvos ha'ela, and you do not fulfill all of the mitzvos, then it's a very, very long passage of not good things, all of which, sadly, has happened to us. How are we going to make it? How are we going to ever live up to that? Either you keep all the mitzvahs and it'll be okay, but if you don't keep them, it's very, very much not going to be okay. How can we possibly survive that? It's a very, very heavy Parsha. We have the custom, when we read this passage, to read it in a very soft voice and at a very fast pace, because it's just so harsh, it's so difficult. We try to get through it as quickly as possible. But how do we do it? So, the Parsha begins again where God says, mitzvosai tishmaru, observe my mitzvos. What does that mean? Well, that's pretty clear. I understand what that means. That means to keep the commandments, to do what God has said to do and not to do what God prohibits us. Okay, I understand that. Vasisimosam, to observe them. I understand what it means. I mean, yes, it's hard to live up to that, but at least I understand what it means. What is the first opening phrase? BeChukosai telechu, walk in the path of my laws. What does that mean? So it's interesting that we refer to Jewish law as a translation of the word halacha. And halacha is the comprehensive system of our practices and beliefs as Jews. It's interesting that neither of those terms, Jewish law or halacha, is very precise. Neither of them is precise. Jewish law is much too narrow a phrase because halacha includes ethics, government, societal priorities, etiquette, religion, and more. It is much wider than just law. On the other hand, halacha doesn't address anything about obligation, about requirements, about prohibitions, commandments. Halacha means walking, traveling, going. Now, its usage in this context is from our Torah portion, this phrase, im BeChukosai telechu. Halacha means the way to go. The way to go through the day, the way to go through life. And it teaches us that at every moment, in every place, in every situation, wherever we go, our responsibility to others and to God is in place, and it accompanies us wherever we go. BeChukosai telechu. We go through life accompanied by and uplifted by everything that God has told us to do and not to do. And there is a second understanding and significance to this word. I mean, I might have thought that a different term would be used. If we are actually looking for a term that is a precise origin for the translation of Jewish law, well, I can think of a different phrase, mishpat ivri. That would translate as Jewish law. Now, actually, today, that phrase mishpat ivri has a different connotation for another time. But using the word halacha to apply to all of our obligations as Jews teaches us an additional, very profound lesson, and it's conveyed by Rabbi Melech Biderman in this story. Rabbi Biderman lives in Bnei Brak, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv. And one night, Rabbi Biderman was driving home to Bnei Brak. It was very late at night. And he sees on the side of the road an elderly man who is walking. And he recognizes that this man lives in Bnei Brak. He's walking to Bnei Brak. It's very late at night. And so Rabbi Biderman stops his car and he says to this man, this elderly gentleman, "Can I give you a ride?" And the man says, "No." Rabbi Biderman says, "But it's late at night and you're very far away from Bnei Brak. You're walking to Bnei Brak. It's going to take you a very, very long time. Just get in the car. In 2 minutes, you'll be home." And the man said, "You don't understand. The reason I am here is because my doctor told me that I have to walk. I have to get exercise." And Rabbi Biderman understood, and he explains, we don't need to be at the destination. We need to be walking toward the destination. This elderly man didn't need at that moment to be at home. He needed to be walking towards home. It was the walking towards home that was going to make him better. And for every single one of us, the same thing is true. We need to be going through the effort of going forward. That is what helps us. It's not reaching the destination. It's walking towards it. We need to keep the mitzvos, the commandments that God has given us. The Torah is very clear. Va es mitzvosai tishmeru. Guard my commandments. Va asisam osam, and do them. That part is very clear. And of course, let's be honest, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's challenging to keep all of God's commandments at every moment, in every place. But also in God's calculus is the first phrase, BeChukosai telechu. That's what God first wants to know about us, looks at within us. Are we working on it? Are we making an effort? Are we trying? Are we walking towards that observance? That is also what God considers as God considers and evaluates us. The same word, halacha, Jewish law is an inadequate translation of that. Halacha is a path. It is an effort, even when we are not yet at the destination. We can still be halacha, on the way. And that's how we can make it through this Parsha. We need to ask ourselves, hopefully we are there. Hopefully we are fulfilling all the commandments. But even if we're not, hopefully we are at least on the way. My friends, I wish you a great day.